Now we've gone through a few different ways that you can share your science through things like photos or videos and telling stories, but there is another way, and that's to get people to experience it themselves, to be able to pick it up, hold it, play with it. You've probably experienced science this way yourself, and it's something that we do here at MUI a lot. One way is through guided tours, where you take small groups of people out into that environment or science space for people to walk or swim amongst it, as well as interact with it. We do this here through our guided snorkels of our seagrass meadows and coral reefs. Another way is by creating hands-on experiences, turning that bit of science research that you did into something that people can pick up, hold, and explore. This is what a lot of science centers do all around the world, and they get you to explore and then discover that science yourself. It's something that we do here at MUI. A few times a week, we'll hold a special science activity station where people can come up and explore a certain topic or research that we're doing, such as identifying the seagrass like we did in our seagrass episode. Another way to explore your science is to get involved with the research when it's happening. This is called citizen science. It's when non-professional scientists join in the scientific process, either collecting data or helping to analyze results and coming up with those conclusions and finding those answers. You've done a little bit of that with us over the course of this program, and the detailed teabag experiment is a great example. These are all different ways that you can get people to explore and experience science themselves. If you have been enjoying this and want to get involved even more, you can research your local science groups. These could be citizen science groups, school science clubs, or local science centers. Have you got one of these groups near you? Make sure to visit them when it's safe to do so again, or check out their website and see if they have any fantastic resources online. Now it's time for an activity that's all about creating a hands-on experience. It involves a little bit of crafting, some play, some fun, and explores some really interesting science. I recommend that you build it with an adult and then share it with everyone who you can, getting them to complete the challenge. Now for this activity, we'll be doing a little bit of crafting and we'll be using some water. So make sure that you're in an environment where you can get a little bit messy with the water and it doesn't really matter. Let's go to ours now. Okay, so now that we're in an area where we can get crafty and also a little bit messy or wet with the water, it's time to begin creating our hands-on science experience. So what we'll be doing today is creating a little ocean diver that will sit at the top of the water bottle and then sink down to the bottom before it rises back up to the top again. Now, to do this, we'll be using a few different pieces of equipment. I have with me a glass of water, some blue tack, but plasticine or Play-Doh will also work well, a pen lid, and a squishable PET plastic bottle that's filled almost to the top with water. So what we have to do is build our diver. And to do that, we're going to add on some blue tack to our pen lid. So I placed the blue tack onto the bottom of the pen lid and now it's completely sealed, trapping all of the air inside of it. So now that I have my diver, we're going to test to see if it's the right weight or not. To do that, I'll be using the glass of water. So place your diver into the water and you want your diver to be resting just at the very top. So this one here is a little bit too light. So I'm going to add some more blue tack to the bottom to help weigh it down a bit more. So there we have it, our heavier diver. And there we go. So we saw that it sunk down to the bottom at the start. That's because I dropped it from a bit high. And now it's resting perfectly at the top of the water. So now what we can do is head on over to our large bottle. So now that we have our perfectly weighted diver and our bottle with water that's filled almost to the top, unscrew the lid, place the diver in at the top. There we go. Make sure it's still perfectly weighted. If not, you might have to retrieve the diver out. You can do this using something like an unbent paper clip. But this is still well balanced, so I'm going to add the cap back on. Make it as tight as you can. And now, the challenge. Can you make the diver sink from the top down to the bottom? Could you figure out how to make the diver sink down to the bottom? Well, the way to do it is to give the bottle a really big squeeze. So depending on how much air is inside of your pen lid or how hard you can squeeze it, it might take a while to sink down and then to rise back up to the top again. The second part of this challenge is figuring out or explaining why this happens. Do you know why? Well, it's all to do with buoyancy. That is, how much something will float or sink when it's in water. So our pen lid has an air bubble trapped inside of it. We made sure it was trapped with that blue tack. When we give the bottle a really big squeeze, we increase the pressure in the bottle. That means that the air bubble inside of that pen lid that's really big right now and is making the pen lid float is going to get smaller and smaller. This will decrease the buoyancy of the diver, making it sink down to the bottom. When we let go, that air bubble will rise back up again to its regular size, increasing the buoyancy of our diver, making it rise up to the top. Now you can decorate your diver in a number of different ways, but make sure to test it every time you add something onto it, as this may affect the buoyancy. Now it's your turn to build one and then share it with everyone around you. Can those people figure out how to make the diver sink down to the bottom and then rise back up? And can they explain why?